the hell away from my car!
Imagine moving into your new home, a quiet street, only for a woman with a clipboard to show up and lecture you about HOA rules that have nothing to do with you. Your property isn't part of their HOA, but she refuses to accept it. Then she has the audacity to demand your car keys, claiming she needs to hold one for emergencies. And when you tell her no, she decides to prove her power by trying to open your car herself. That's exactly what happened to Tobias King, a black man who just wanted peace. But what Marilyn didn't know was who the black man really was. The house sat at the quiet edge of the neighborhood, the last property before the street curved into open land. It was a clean two-story, freshly painted, and just outside the invisible line that separated the HOA's authority from private independence. That line was the reason the black man chose it. After years of dealing with neighborhood codes and pointless rules, he wanted silence, peace, and a place to drink coffee without anyone monitoring the length of his grass. His name was Sheriff Tobias King, but nobody here knew that yet. To them, he was just the new guy moving boxes from a pickup truck. He had barely unloaded the second box when she arrived, clipboard tucked tight to her ribs, sunglasses high on her nose, pastel sweater wrapped across tense arms. Marilyn, the HOA president. She walked like she owned the street. "You must be the new resident," she said, not smiling. "Let me introduce you to our rules and regulations around here. All residents follow standards: mailbox color, external cloth patterns, grass height, seasonal decor limits. It is all listed clearly." Tobias paused, letting her words spill past him. He had worked homicide for 13 years, dealt with gang tensions, standoffs, and men who hid guns under jackets. None of them ever sounded as eager to control another person as this woman with a clipboard. He stayed polite. "I appreciate the information," he said calmly, "but this property is outside your board. My deed line isn't part of the HOA." Marilyn blinked once slowly. Then she waved one hand dismissively. "Close proximity makes you part of us. It's automatic. If your property touches our eyesight, the regulations still apply. That's how community harmony works." Tobias didn't argue. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't reveal anything. He just nodded once. "I'll think about it," he said. Peace was more important than pride, especially on day one. Marilyn took the response like a victory and left without saying welcome. Days passed. Tobias minded his business, cut his lawn for himself, repainted his mailbox the way he liked it, and ignored her papers taped to his door with reminders about approved house colors. He didn't respond. He didn't confront her. He simply lived. Then she came back. "I need a copy of your car key," she said firmly. "HOA rule requires me to hold emergency access to every vehicle. Everyone else cooperates. You're the last one." That was the breaking point. "No," Tobias said. "Impossible. And stop telling me about HOA rules. My house is not part of your HOA." Marilyn blinked. The confidence on her face cracked. For a second, she just stood there, processing the idea that someone had actually said no to her. "What?" she finally asked. "Everyone follows the rules here. Nobody refuses the board. That's not how our community works." Tobias didn't step back. He didn't explain again. "I don't report to your board, and I won't be giving you a key. That conversation is over." Have you ever dealt with someone who creates their own laws just to control you? What would you do if a stranger tried to take your keys in the name of authority they don't even have? Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where you're tuning in from. And if you believe in standing your ground against people who abuse a little power, smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc. "You'll regret this," she said, turning away. She still had no idea who he really was. Marilyn's threat hung in the air like exhaust from a smoked engine. Tobias closed his door quietly, more disappointed than angry. He had told her the truth. His house wasn't part of her board. That should have ended everything. But he had seen the way her eyes sharpened when he refused the key. She wasn't finished. Marilyn was the kind of person who believed authority came from talking like she had it, even when none existed. 2 nights later, Tobias arrived home late from work. The neighborhood was quiet, curtains drawn, porch lights humming. He carried his dinner inside, set his badge on the counter. Still no one in the area knew what he was, and walked to his office to start his routine camera check. It was a habit from years in law enforcement. You trusted people, but you verified patterns. He clicked into the previous day's footage. The timestamp blinked from the corner, 3:22 p.m. There was his truck parked in the driveway, and there was Marilyn, bent over the driver's side door, jamming a brass key into the lock with the intensity of someone trying to open a safe. She tugged, twisted, shook the handle, then tried again, muttering to herself. She even braced her foot against the pavement and pushed the key harder. It still didn't open. After a few seconds, she stepped back, breathing hard, looking around to see if anyone had noticed. Tobias leaned closer to the screen. She had recorded herself. Her phone was in her other hand the entire time, camera pointed at his truck while she faked her inspection attempt. He paused the footage and exhaled slowly. It wasn't fear, just calculation. He had every right to walk across the street and confront her, badge in hand, voice level. But he was tired from a full shift. His partner always told him, "Pick the time that benefits you, not the moment that satisfies anger." So he let the night pass. The next morning after sunrise, Tobias stepped outside to check if anything had changed. His key slid into the lock cleanly. No scratches, no damage. His truck was fine. But when he turned, he saw Marilyn at a distance near her porch, snapping photos of him with her phone. The camera lens glinted in the light. She didn't hide it. She stood stiff, one arm crossed, the other holding the phone out like she was collecting evidence. At the time, he didn't know why. Later, he understood. That day, he installed motion sensors around his truck. Small, silent devices that would alert him the next time she tried anything. If she crossed into his space again, he would know instantly. Marilyn, meanwhile, used the photos she took of his key angle and measurements to have a locksmith create an illegal duplicate. She believed once the key opened his truck, everything would prove she was right. He belonged to the HOA, whether he liked it or not. She planned her second attempt, and Tobias unknowingly prepared the trap. Marilyn's plan depended on one thing, her belief that authority could be forced into existence. She spent the evening preparing, convinced the duplicate key in her pocket was proof she controlled the street. She didn't know the black man she tried to intimidate had already shifted from patience to procedure. When Tobias installed those motion sensors, he did it the same way he had done 100 times in his career, with precision, angles, and the quiet confidence of someone who documented facts, not drama. The next morning, he left for work like normal, badge under his jacket, cruiser parked at the station. But that afternoon, he returned closer to home, choosing a position where he could respond immediately if anything happened. His partner, Officer Bryant, sat beside him sipping coffee and listening to Tobias explain the situation in short, clipped sentences. Bryant raised his eyebrows more than once. Tobias's phone stayed on the console, screen open, motion alerts ready. He didn't want confrontation. He wanted proof. Clean, undeniable proof that couldn't be twisted into an argument about neighborhood policies. The sun dipped behind the houses, porch lights clicked on across the street. At 6:47 p.m., the alert vibrated. Driveway motion detected. Tobias didn't speak. He started the engine, pulled the cruiser out, and headed home in a clean line of blue steel and quiet sirens that stayed silent. The street corner turned, the house came into view, and there she was, just like the footage from days before, leaning over his truck, trying to slide the illegal key into the lock. Her shoulders were stiff from concentration, one hand gripping the door handle, the other bracing her fake authority against metal she didn't own. This time she wasn't recording. She thought she didn't need to. She believed she had the winning card, the duplicate key she made from photos she took while hiding across the driveway. She didn't hear the cruiser. The vehicle stopped behind her, quiet but present, lights reflecting off the truck's polished surface. Marilyn kept twisting the key as if persistence could bend reality. Tobias stepped out silently. Bryant followed. He walked up behind her, voice steady. "Marilyn!" She froze. Her body stiffened like someone hit pause on a screen. Slowly, she turned her head. When she saw Tobias standing in uniform, the badge visible, the stance unmistakable, her face drained pale, as if her soul had tried to leave before her body caught up. "What are you doing here?" "And you're a sheriff," she whispered. "Yes," Tobias said, "and this is the second time you've tried to break into my car. It will also be the last." Her mouth opened, closed, opened again, but the decision wasn't hers anymore. For a moment, Marilyn looked like she had forgotten how breathing worked. Her eyes jumped from Tobias's badge to his face, then to the cruiser parked behind her. She pulled her hand away from the lock as if the metal had burned her. The duplicate key dangled between her fingers, evidence against her own argument. She tried to speak, but the words tangled into panic. "This isn't what it looks like," she blurted. "I'm performing an HOA inspection. This vehicle is within our jurisdiction. You're refusing compliance, and that violates safety protocol." Tobias cut her off with a calm tone sharpened by certainty. "I am not part of your HOA. My property isn't under your authority. What you are doing is illegal. You made an unauthorized duplicate key and tried to break into my vehicle, twice." Marilyn shook her head so hard her hair bounced. "No, no, no. You don't understand. Everyone follows the rules here. Your house is close enough. That makes you part of the board. I have the right to access." "You don't have any right," Tobias said. "Not here, not with my vehicle, and not with anyone's property. You imposed rules that don't apply, and you crossed into a place you don't own." His voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. Authority lived in the truth, not the volume. Bryant stepped forward, holding out a hand for the key. Marilyn backed away, clinging to it like it was proof she still controlled something. Bryant didn't chase her. He only spoke, voice measured. "Ma'am, give me the key." Marilyn's panic cracked into anger. "You can't do this. HOA regulations override individual decisions during inspections. I'm authorized to enforce compliance." "No," Tobias said again. "You're trespassing, and you're done." He nodded once to Bryant. Bryant reached for his cuffs. "Ma'am, you are under arrest for attempted vehicle entry and possession of an illegal duplicate key. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in court. You have the right to an attorney." Marilyn's knees shook. "No! This is a mistake. This is a mistake. I followed the rules. I followed all the rules." Bryant secured the cuffs gently but firmly, guiding her toward the cruiser. She twisted her head back toward Tobias. "You're not allowed to do this." "I'm the HOA president." Tobias watched her for a moment, expression unreadable. Not anymore. The car door closed. The cruiser pulled away, carrying the woman who once believed a clipboard made her untouchable. The arrest led to charges. The HOA removed her from leadership. Neighbors whispered in shock, finally understanding who Tobias was. Not just the quiet new resident, but a sheriff who had given her every chance to stop. He walked back to his house, the evening settling into silence. His driveway was his own again. No flyers, no fake rules, no threats. Just peace, the thing he wanted from the beginning. And Marilyn, the woman who tried to claim authority she never had, was gone. If you believe respect is a right, not a favor granted by HOA presidents, like this video and subscribe to Story Arc, because standing up to petty power matters.